President Putin is a story of struggle since his youth and the experiences he gained during his professional career. The stages of life and development of Russia in detailed episodes. Part 1. President of Russia Vladimir Putin. Hello, everyone. Today, we have a fascinating topic to delve into, none other than the enigmatic figure himself, Vladimir Putin. Love him or loathe him, there's no denying his impact on global politics. Before we jump in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated with our latest content. Now, let's get started. Vladimir Putin's journey to power is nothing short of intriguing. Born in Leningrad, now St. Petersburg, Putin's early life in the KGB and subsequent political career paved the way for his ascent to the highest office in Russia. How did this former intelligence officer become one of the most powerful leaders in the world? Let's explore. Putin's leadership style is often described as assertive and strategic. He's known for his strongman image, whether it's riding shirtless on horseback or engaging in judo. But what does this persona mean for Russia and its people? Is it a carefully crafted image, or is there more beneath the surface? Let's uncover the layers of Putin's leadership style. One cannot discuss Putin without diving into his impact on the global stage. From his assertive stance in conflicts like the annexation of Crimea to his role in the Syrian civil war, Putin has left an indelible mark on international affairs. But how has this influenced Russia's standing in the world, and what does it mean for global stability? Let's analyze Putin's role in international relations. Within Russia, Putin has implemented a series of domestic policies that have shaped the country's trajectory. From economic reforms to social changes, how have these policies impacted the lives of ordinary Russians? Join me as we examine the various facets of Putin governance within his own borders. Born the 7th of October 1952 is a Russian politician and former intelligence officer who has been president of Russia since 2012. Putin has held continuous positions as president or prime minister since 1999. As prime minister from 1999 to 2000 and from 2008 to 2012, and as president from 2000 to 2008, and since 2012. Putin worked as a KGB foreign intelligence officer for 16 years, rising to the rank of lieutenant colonel before resigning in 1991 to begin a political career in St. Petersburg. In 1996, he moved to Moscow to join the administration of President Boris Yeltsin. He briefly served as the director of the Federal Securities Service (FSB), and then as Secretary of the Security Council of Russia before being appointed Prime Minister in August 1999. Following Yeltsin's resignation, Putin became acting president and, in less than 4 months, was elected to his first term as president. He was subsequently re-elected in 2004. Due to constitutional limitations of 2 consecutive presidential terms, Putin served as prime minister again from 2008 to 2012 under Dmitry Medvedev. He returned to the presidency in 2012, following an election marked by allegations of fraud and protests, and was re-elected in 2018. In April 2021, after a referendum, he signed into law constitutional amendments that included one allowing him to run for re-election twice more, potentially extending his presidency to 2036. During Putin's initial presidential tenure, the Russian economy grew on average by 7% per year, driven by economic reforms and a 5-fold increase in the price of oil and gas. Additionally, Putin led Russia in a conflict against Chechen separatists, re-establishing federal control over the region. While serving as prime minister under Medvedev, he oversaw a military conflict with Georgia and enacted military and police reforms. In his third presidential term, Russia annexed Crimea and supported a war in eastern Ukraine through several military incursions, resulting in international sanctions and a financial crisis in Russia. He also ordered a military intervention in Syria to support his ally Bashar al-Assad during the Syrian civil war, ultimately securing permanent naval bases in the eastern Mediterranean. In September 2022, he announced a partial mobilization and forcibly annexed 4 Ukrainian oblasts into Russia. Putin was born on the 7th of October 1952 in Leningrad, Soviet Union, now St. Petersburg, Russia. The youngest of 3 children of Vladimir Spiridonovich Putin 1,911,199 and Maria Ivanovna Putin Nishelimova 1,911,199. His grandfather, Spiridon Putin 1,879,196, was a personal cook to Vladimir Lenin and Joseph Stalin. Putin's birth was preceded by the deaths of 2 brothers. Albert, born in the 1930s, died in infancy, and Victor, born in 1940, died of diphtheria and starvation in 1942 during the siege of Leningrad by Nazi Germany's forces in World War II. Putin's mother was a factory worker, and his father was a conscript in the Soviet Navy, serving in the submarine fleet in the early 1930s. During the early stage of Nazi-German invasion of the Soviet Union, his father served in the Destruction Battalion of the NKVD. Later, he was transferred to the regular army and was severely wounded in 1942. Putin's maternal grandmother was killed by the German occupiers of Tver region in 1941, and his maternal uncles disappeared on the Eastern Front during World War II. On the 1st of September 1960, Putin started at school number 193 at Baskov Lane, near his home. He was one of a few in his class of about 45 pupils who were not yet members of the Young Pioneer Organization. At the age of 12, he began to practice Sambo and Judo. In his free time, he enjoyed reading the works of Karl Marx, Friedrich Engels, and Lenin. Putin studied German at St. Petersburg High School 281 and speaks both German and English as additional languages. Putin studied law at the Leningrad State University named after Andrei Ch. now St. Petersburg State University in 1970, and graduated in 1975. His thesis was on the most favored nation trading principle in international law. While there, he was required to join the Communist Party of the Soviet Union CPSU. He remained a member until it ceased to exist in 1991. Putin met Anatoly Sobchak, an assistant professor who taught business law, and who later became the co-author of the Russian Constitution and of corruption schemes in France. Putin was influential in Sobchak's career in St. Petersburg, and Sobchak was influential in Putin's career in Moscow. In 1997, he received his Ph.D. an economics candidate of economic sciences at the St. Petersburg Mining University for a thesis on the strategic planning of the mineral economy. On the 1st of September 1960, Putin started at school number 193 at Baskov Lane, near his home. He was one of a few in his class of about 45 pupils who were not yet members of the Young Pioneer Organization. At the age of 12, he began to practice Sambo and Judo. In his free time, he enjoyed reading the works of Karl Marx, Friedrich Engels, and Lenin. Putin studied German at St. Petersburg High School 281 and speaks both German and English as additional languages. Putin studied law at the Leningrad State University named after Andrei Ch. now St. Petersburg State University in 1970, and graduated in 1975. His thesis was on the most favored nation trading principle in international law. While there, he was required to join the Communist Party of the Soviet Union CPSU. He remained a member until it ceased to exist in 1991. Putin met Anatoly Sobchak, an assistant professor who taught business law, and who later became the co-author of the Russian Constitution and of corruption schemes in France. Putin was influential in Sobchak's career in St. Petersburg, and Sobchak was influential in Putin's career in Moscow. In 1997, he received his Ph.D. an economics candidate of economic sciences at the St. Petersburg Mining University for a thesis on the strategic planning of the mineral economy. In 1975, Putin joined the KGB and trained at the 401st KGB School in Leningrad. After training, he worked in the 2nd Chief Directorate Counterintelligence before he was transferred to the 1st Chief Directorate, where he monitored foreigners and consular officials in Leningrad. In September 1984, Putin was sent to Moscow for further training at the Yuri Andropov Red Banner Institute. Multiple reports have suggested Putin was sent by the KGB to New Zealand, corroborated through New Zealand eyewitness accounts and government records. This has never been confirmed by Russian security services. Former Waitakere City Mayor Bob Harvey and former Prime Minister David Lange alleged that Putin served in Wellington and Auckland. He allegedly worked for some time undercover as a Bata shoe salesman in central Wellington. From 1985 to 1990, he served in Dresden, East Germany, using a cover identity as a translator. While posted in Dresden, Putin worked as one of the KGB's liaison officers to the Stasi secret police and was reportedly promoted to lieutenant colonel. According to the official Kremlin presidential site, the East German communist regime commended Putin with a bronze medal for faithful service to the National People's Army. Putin has publicly conveyed delight over his activities in Dresden, once recounting his confrontations with anti-communist protesters of 1989 who attempted the occupation of Stasi buildings in the city. Putin and his colleagues were reduced mainly to collecting press clippings, thus contributing to the mountains of useless information produced by the KGB, Russian-American Masha Gessen wrote in their 2012 biography of Putin. According to Putin official biography, during the fall of the Berlin Wall that began on the 9th of November 1989, he saved the files of the Soviet Cultural Center House of Friendship and of the KGB villa in Dresden for the official authorities of the would-be United Germany. to prevent demonstrators, including KGB and Stasi agents, from obtaining and destroying them. He then supposedly burnt only the KGB files in a few hours, but saved the archives of the Soviet Cultural Center for the German authorities. Nothing is told about the selection criteria during this burning. For example, concerning Stasi files or about files of other agencies of the German Democratic Republic or of the USSR. He explained that many documents were left to Germany only because the furnace burst, but many documents of the KGB villa were sent to Moscow. He returned to Leningrad in early 1990 as a member of the active reserves, where he worked for about 3 months with the International Affairs section of Leningrad State University, reporting to Vice Rector Yuri Molchanov while working on his doctoral dissertation. There, he looked for new KGB recruits, watched the student body, and renewed his friendship with his former professor, Anatoly Sobchak, soon to be the mayor of Leningrad. Putin claims that he resigned with the rank of lieutenant colonel on the 20th of August 1991. On the second day of the 1991 Soviet coup d'etat attempt against Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev, Putin said, "As soon as the coup began, I immediately decided which side I was on," although he noted that the choice was hard because he had spent the best part of his life with the organs. In May 1990, Putin was appointed as an advisor on international affairs to the mayor of Leningrad, Anatoly Sobchak. In a 2017 interview with Oliver Stone, Putin said that he resigned from the KGB in 1991, following the coup against Mikhail Gorbachev, as he did not agree with what had happened and did not want to be part of the intelligence in the new administration. According to Putin's statements in 2018 and 2021, he may have worked as a private taxi driver to earn extra money, or considered such a job. On the 28th of June 1991, he became head of the Committee for External Relations of the Mayor's Office, with responsibility for promoting international relations and foreign investments and registering business ventures. Within a year, Putin was investigated by the City Legislative Council led by Marina Salai. It was concluded that he had understated prices and permitted the export of metals valued at $93 million in exchange for foreign food aid that never arrived. Despite the investigators' recommendation that Putin be fired, Putin remained head of the Committee for External Relations until 1996. From 1994 to 1996, he held several other political and governmental positions in St. Petersburg. In March 1994, Putin was appointed as first deputy chairman of the government of St. Petersburg. In May 1995, he organized the St. Petersburg branch of the pro-government Our Home, Russia political party, the Liberal Party of Power founded by Prime Minister Viktor Chernomyrdin. In 1995, he managed the legislative election campaign for that party, and from 1995 through June 1997, he was the leader of its St. Petersburg branch. In June 1996, Sobchak lost his bid for re-election in St. Petersburg, and Putin, who had led his election campaign, resigned from his positions in the city administration. He moved to Moscow and was appointed as deputy chief of the Presidential Property Management Department headed by Pavel Borodin. He occupied this position until March 1997. He was responsible for the foreign property of the state and organized the transfer of the former assets of the Soviet Union and the CPSU to the Russian Federation. On the 26th of March 1997, President Boris Yeltsin appointed Putin deputy chief of the presidential staff, a post which he retained until May 1998, and chief of the main control directorate of the Presidential Property Management Department until June 1998. His predecessor in this position was Alexei Kudrin, and his successor was Nikolai Patrushev, both future prominent politicians and Putin's associate. On the 3rd of April 1997, Putin was promoted to first-class active state counselor of the Russian Federation, the highest federal state civilian service rank. On the 27th of June 1997, at the St. Petersburg Mining Institute, guided by Rector Vladimir Litvinenko, Putin defended his candidate of science dissertation in economics, titled Strategic Planning of the Reproduction of the Mineral Resource Base of a Region Under Conditions of the Formation of Market Relations. This exemplified the custom in Russia whereby a young rising official would write a scholarly work in mid-career. On the 25th of May 1998, Putin was appointed first deputy chief of the presidential staff for the regions, in succession to Victoria Matina. On the 15th of July, he was appointed head of the Commission for the Preparation of Agreements on the Delimitation of the Power of the Regions and head of the Federal Center attached to the President, replacing Sergei Shakray. After Putin's appointment, the Commission completed no such agreements, although during Shakray's term as the head of the Commission 46 such agreements had been signed. Later, after becoming president, Putin cancelled all 46 agreements. On the 25th of July 1998, Yeltsin appointed Putin director of the Federal Security Service (FSB), the primary intelligence and security organization of the Russian Federation and the successor to the KGB. In 1999, Putin described communism as a blind alley, far away from the mainstream of civilization. On the 9th of August 1999, Putin was appointed one of 3 first deputy prime ministers, and later on that day was appointed acting prime minister of the government of the Russian Federation by President Yeltsin. Yeltsin also announced that he wanted to see Putin as his successor. Later on that same day, Putin agreed to run for the presidency. On the 16th of August, the State Duma approved his appointment as prime minister with 233 votes in favor versus 84 against, 17 abstained, while a simple majority of 226 was required, making him Russia's 5th prime minister in fewer than 18 months. On his appointment, few expected Putin, virtually unknown to the general public, to last any longer than his predecessors. He was initially regarded as a Yeltsin loyalist. Like other prime ministers of Boris Yeltsin, Putin did not choose ministers himself. His cabinet was determined by the presidential administration. Yeltsin's main Putin and would-be successors were already campaigning to replace the ailing president, and they fought hard to prevent Putin's emergence as a potential successor. While not formally associated with any party, Putin pledged his support to the newly formed Unity Party, which won the second largest percentage of the popular vote, 23.3% in the December 1999 Duma elections, and in turn supported Putin. On the 31st of December 1999, Yeltsin unexpectedly resigned. According to the Constitution of Russia, Putin became acting president of the Russian Federation. On assuming this role, Putin went on a previously scheduled visit to Russian troops in Chechnya. The first presidential decree that Putin signed on the 31st of December 1999 was titled "On Guarantees for the Former President of the Russian Federation and the Members of His Family." This ensured that corruption charges against the outgoing president and his relatives would not be pursued. This was most notably targeted at the Mamitex bribery case in which Yeltsin's family members were involved. On the 30th of December 2000, yet another case against the prosecutor general was dropped for lack of evidence, despite thousands of documents having been forwarded by Swiss prosecutors. On the 12th of February 2001, Putin signed a similar federal law which replaced the decree of 1999. While his opponents had been preparing for an election in June 2000, Yeltsin's resignation resulted in the presidential elections being held on the 26th of March 2000. Putin won in the first round with 53% of the vote. I stop at this point today. Soon we will publish Part 2. Thank you for watching. I hope I added something to you. You enjoyed the last few minutes. We will meet with you soon.